Hi, this is attorney and investor Bob Diamond. Well, so you're interested in tax sales. Smart move. Tax sales are where there are fantastic bargains. There are fantastic bargains in deeds, meaning properties you can get for ownership, and there are also fantastic bargains in tax liens, which you can get for very high interest rates and yields if you're a yield investor. You might wonder where I am. Well, I am at the Montgomery County Courthouse. You can see this beautiful courthouse building. It's where it all started for me. That's where I started doing tax sales in the year 2000. Picked up bargain properties, made a ton of money, but it was a lot of work. We would get a list of 3,000 to 4,000 properties. We would get them 45 days in advance of the sale, and then we had to go see the properties in order to bid on them, meaning we had to drive around. Literally, we'd go driving around the streets to see every property. Now, obviously, we couldn't see all 3,000 to 4,000 properties, so we would see what we could, then we'd go to the courthouse, this very courthouse, ready to bid. And I actually stopped doing tax sale investing because it was simply too much work, and I found other ways to get properties, but I never could quite replicate those bargains I was getting at tax sale. Well, now things have completely changed. We have something called the Property Tax Sale Sniper software, which is a patent pending software we've developed in-house and which we've been using to go back to these tax sales to get those bargain properties. And what's different is the Tax Sale Sniper software allows you to do everything online and from your office. You can do all the preliminary due diligence, and we've even found a way to do physical on-the-ground due diligence without actually going to the properties ourselves. So I will be at this tax sale this year buying properties because of the Tax Sale Sniper software. I actually stopped buying properties at the tax sale around 2003 because of the amount of work that was involved. Well, now with the Property Tax Sale Sniper software, it's completely changed. I want to tell you all about this, and to do that, I'm going to introduce you to my good friend, investor and inventor, Rick Dawson. I sat down with Rick and we recorded an interview where he talks about the Tax Sale Sniper software, talks about how he invented it, how it's completely changing tax sale investing. And that's the video that follows this video. So I want you to set aside some time, take out a notepad, and learn about this Tax Sale Sniper software, because this video is the way that you're going to get to access that software. We're taking our in-house patent pending software and we're going to allow 20 people to use it to go to tax sale. And the only way to do that is to watch the video. So this is Bob Diamond. Next up is my interview with Rick. So I will see you there. Hello, this is Bob Diamond, and I am so glad to be here, and you're going to be really glad you're here too, because I have with me my business partner, friend, and someone I really admire in business named Rick Dawson. Now, you've heard me speak about Rick. If you've been in any of our trainings or gotten any of our materials in the past couple of years, you know that we partnered up with Rick. We, being Ed and I, have partnered up with Rick. And Rick is more of a behind-the-scenes guy generally. And I think you don't know a lot of what he does, but one of the things he does is he develops new strategies for us, and we're very much a believer that we want to launch strategies that actually work in the real world and that we've tested, and we put up our own money to do that. So Rick, Ed, and I are business partners and Hooked on Overages, and before that we had Diamonds in the Rough and a couple other things. And what Rick does in the background is develop these new strategies, develop fantastic ways to invest, and then he actually invests company money to test these things and to make us money. Over the past couple of years, Rick has been making a lot of money for all of us in tax sales. And we have, of course, some different approaches to tax sales. We have Hooked on Overages, which is kind of an after the tax sale way of doing it. But we also have an investment division, which is headed by Rick, where he goes to the tax sales and actually invests our money in tax liens, invests our money by buying properties. And he'll tell you a little bit about some of the deals that we've been able to do. Just one that comes to mind, it was November of last year, like a year and a half ago, November. And he popped up with some crazy deal in St. Louis, and we sent out $30,000. The next thing we knew, we had like $50,000 back. It was amazing. And Rick is just a really creative, effective guy. What I'd asked Rick to do, and when Ed, Rick, and I met, we talked about, was to really roll out some of these strategies that we're using that are helping people make a lot of money, mostly us right now, but also some other folks, make a lot of money in terms of interest rate, make a lot of money in terms of properties you can buy and flip without even fixing them up. And to talk about what's working today in tax sales. And tax sales are a terrific way to acquire properties and to make money. And Rick is going to unveil some of the things that we're doing on this training. He's also going to talk about this software tool that we have that is just a flat-out revolution in tax sale investing. Frankly, anybody that's not using it is not going to be able to compete. We're going to show you an actual demonstration of that and give you an opportunity to actually use it in tax sale investing. So without further ado, I want to let Rick come on. Rick's been investing in tax sales for 15 years. He has a long track record of success. He's a really, I would say, street savvy, street smart investor. He's the kind of guy that really, gets by just by being a very smart, savvy investor. Guy you can learn a lot from. So Rick, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm here, Bob. Really great to be here. Thanks for the great intro.
I'm glad you're here, and it's a well-deserved intro. You're kind of the mad scientist behind the scenes, and I don't think anybody knows that you actually take our company money and invest it. I don't think that's because we never talk about that.
Yeah, that's really just become my role in the company here, is finding new strategies that are out there, new tools that can help us take advantage of those, and then actually going out, putting our money into them, and, frankly, making a mistake or two along the way and finding what really works. And so we're at that point now with actual tax auctions. We've been able to figure out a few strategies and employ a couple new tools that I'm going to show you guys on this webinar today that have really allowed us to take this to the next level and begin buying at tax sales and really getting some great deals out of it.
That's great. Well, I don't want to step here. I'll be here, making comments and sort of my own 2 cents in. But also, I'm sure everybody's seeing the slide up front that says Tax Sale Investing Workshop. A few people on this call are going to get an opportunity to actually join Rick, and I'll be there also live, to go to a tax sale and actually learn how to do it from the pro. So that's the opportunity you have. But whether you end up being one of the people that we can allow into that or not, you're going to learn a lot of really cool things and a lot about the latest strategies on this call. So be sure that you're ready to take some notes, take out a notepad and a pen. If you have any distractions like Twitter, Facebook, your dog is scratching at the back door, anything like that, please take care of those distractions, because you're not going to want to miss a minute of this presentation. You're not going to want to miss a minute of what Rick is going to say, because you don't often actually get to talk to the practitioner and hear, as they say, straight from the horse's mouth, what's working today, and really a brand new revolutionary tool that you can use, and an opportunity to learn from the pro, learn from the best of the best. The guy's actually, we believe in him so much that he's actually investing company money. This isn't a do as we say, it's a do as we do kind of opportunity. So with that up front, Rick, let me let you go, and like I said, we'll be having conversation from time to time. I'll interject, but this is mostly your training.
All right, sounds great, Bob. So as Bob said, I'm the head of deedgrabber.com. We've been teaching tax sale strategies here for 10 plus years, and like Bob said, I'm usually more of the background guy, spending my time developing all these new tools, strategies, techniques, and testing them out in the real world using our own money. And we've really hit on something here, and that's why I'm really excited to be on the call with this right now. Now, you might know why they call me the deed grabber, because my specialty for a long time had been buying properties directly from owners who were about to lose those properties at tax sales. And the reason I bought them that way was it was too difficult to buy liens or deeds at the actual auctions and do it profitably. Now, sure, I got deals once in a while doing that, but I just couldn't find enough at a low enough price to make the whole thing worthwhile. Because, it used to take a ton of effort to even find out which liens or deeds were good enough to purchase. And I'm talking days or weeks if there was a large tax sale list to go through. It was a really inexact science. You'd have to either drive around or go to the county and look at aerial maps that were black and white and sometimes didn't show the backdrop of what you're looking at. It was just a bunch of squares on a map. So that just wasn't working out. I had to find a different strategy until now. So when we'd use that old strategy, we'd work our fingers to the bone preparing for that sale, and yeah, we'd come away with a few investments that slipped through the cracks, but it took so much work to evaluate those on the front end, evaluate ones we never ended up buying, ones that weren't even on the list anymore by the time the sale came. It was really like a break-even proposition at best, and then we could only invest at our local sale because we wouldn't even dream of trying to invest somewhere far away where we'd have to travel to that location.
If I can add in my 2 cents here, I actually started out, and I think we've talked about this, I started out in 1989. I started my investing career investing in tax sales, and I ran into exactly that same frustration that you ran into. So the way that our tax sales worked, And I guess they're probably similar across the country. You know more than I would, but the way that our tax sales worked is we would get the list of properties about 45 days prior to the sale. In the counties surrounding Philadelphia, that would be usually a list of 3,000 to 4,000 properties, and you'd have 45 days till the sale to go look at the properties you could potentially bid on. And the frustration was two-part. One, most of those properties would never actually be sold. Like at least 80% of them, the homeowners would catch up with the taxes or make an arrangement to pay them. So like 80% was going to be gone, but you never knew which 80% were going to be gone. And you couldn't wait till the end because there were too many properties to look at. And that was my number one frustration. Number two was just the driving. I mean, we used to literally get in the car and just like drive houses. We tried to put them in some sort of an order, and we just drive and drive and drive. Yeah, we could see a couple of hundred houses, but at the end of the day, by the time we got to auction, it would be like we could buy 2 or 3 houses. That was the only tax sale all year. So I was like, wow, this is like 5 weeks worth of work to buy 2 or 3 houses, which was good, but it's certainly not a year's worth of supply.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what everybody faced. I think as you're going to see here, we've been able to overcome a lot of those problems because we're going to be able to look at the list later down the line when all those people that have paid have been removed already. That'd be a big one, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So that just saves you right off the bat. All the ones that have paid you haven't done your research on, because you're not going to have to start 2 weeks out in advance or a month out in advance in order to cover all of them. And, of course, you don't want to spend all that time doing that in the first place because it's just a bunch of dead time that's not going to make you any money. So let me show you guys a little bit about what Bob was talking about real quick. This is an actual tax sale list that's online right now for a county here in Indiana. This is all you get. Okay, you get a bunch of numbers on the screen. You get an address with no town, and that's about it. You get a legal description that's really difficult to interpret. You get a property ID, which you might be able to go and type into a county website somewhere one at a time and not make any mistakes, right? And just have a mind-numbing task of looking at 1,300 of these kind of things, and how much it's going for at the sale to start with, and that's it. Also, if you look at these addresses, sometimes properties, like 3 or 4 different properties, all have the same street address listed. So you don't know what you're buying. You don't know if you're getting the actual property that you think has a building on it. You don't know if it's the worthless side lot next to it. You just have no idea what you're looking for. And then I'm going to zoom in on a couple of these here. If you look at the arrow on the right, here's an address, 4400 block of South Hoyt. That doesn't tell me anything. That's something I'd have a very difficult time finding. But also, if you look at the left arrow, it looks like it might be a 7 or 8 acre property, which could be quite valuable. So these are the kind of things that are difficult to find. They slip through the cracks, and a lot of times they don't receive bids at the sale. These are the kind of things that we're going to be able to easily find with the tax property viewer, and that's what we've developed here lately that's going to allow us to go through this huge list in an extremely short time, even allow us to wait until the day before the sale if we want, or a couple days before, so we can just not even bother having to research all those ones that aren't even going to go on the sale, and just allow us to cover so many more sales in so less time. So what's changed? Again, it's the patent pending tax property viewer that we've made that will allow you to burn through this huge list, eliminate all the losers on this list, and identify the winners in literally a tenth of the time that it used to take back when the best tools available to us were like what Bob was talking about, just basically driving houses. And so...
my best tool was, Rick, a map. I had a map, and I used the same one every year, and all I would do is just mark it with highlighters, so I would sort of remember the street. I'd be like, oh, that was a good street. And that was like my tool. And then I remember when they came out with the GPS, I was like so excited. And then they came out with the GPS that would actually sort things into the most efficient route. But you'd have to like type each one individually into the GPS, which took forever. And these ones you're talking about, like the land, we would just skip because I'm I can't even find it. So I think today, investors that are doing business the old way that are about to get mowed down by this new technology that you've developed, they're still skipping these properties because they can't find them.
Right, not without a lot of effort and not without just a lot of manual labor trying to locate these. And you can't type in a parcel number into a Garmin even today and make that part of your route.
No, and you can't do it in anything. You can't do it in like Google Maps online either. It doesn't work. So this is one of the benefits of the software. I just wanted to make everybody clear on this. One of the benefits of this tool is that you can actually evaluate and potentially purchase properties that other investors are just going to skip because it's too difficult to do the manual way. So basically, no one else is bidding on these things. And I got to tell you this story, Rick. I don't know if I told you about this, but so I'm at a tax sale. This is about 8 years ago, and I'm feeling very smug because I'm, such a smart guy, right? Attorney, blah blah blah. So I'm feeling very smart and smug. And some guy is there bidding on this big tract of vacant land that had no street access, and he bids $85,000 for it. I'm thinking, he's such a moron, and I'm such a better investor than him. So I ended up talking to the guy a couple weeks later, and I said, hey, I noticed you were bidding on that empty lot. I said, what are you doing with that thing? Because it doesn't have any street access. And he looks at me and he says, son, he was an older guy. He goes, son, because I'm putting a billboard on that property, and I got it rented out. And I said, really? A billboard? And I said, well, how much do you have it rented for? And he looks at me and says, $35,000 a month. And I said, how much is the billboard going to cost to put up? He says, about $100,000. And I sat there and I just realized, that smart investors and experienced investors really know a lot of stuff, and you should never think you're too smart. But this software would have allowed that tract of land to be found and purchased. And literally, Rick, the guy has at least for $35,000 a month. He's had at least for the past 8 years at $35,000 a month, plus probably some increases.
Well, that's awesome, Bob. But let's look at the other side of the story, which is, have you ever seen anybody come in with a big fat bankroll and bid $85,000 on a piece of property that you actually know is worthless and they don't have a plan?
Yes,
that's why you need to have the right training.
Yeah, no, smart people definitely go to auction only when they've done their due diligence, they're well educated. Because it's like we were talking about earlier today, you're better off not making an investment than you are making a bad investment. I'd rather do nothing than lose my money.
Exactly. Well, we've been talking about this viewer. Why don't I pop out of here, and why don't we actually take a look at what the viewer is going to be able to do for everybody. Now, I have the same list that I was just showing you online now uploaded into the viewer. As you can see, we're no longer limited to that cryptic legal description and really not much else. We've got the full address, we've got the city, we've got the assessed value. Now, you can't count on that exactly, but it does point you in the right direction as to what something might be worth. Gives you the exact amount of land that comes with it, and sale ID, everything you could need, even the building square footage, okay? But really, the magic of it is the visual part of it. Now, this is, again, just one property of the 1,300 that are on this list, and we're going to evaluate this again the day before the sale. That'll probably be down to several hundred instead of 1,350. Here's the magic of it. We're going to be able to click this next button. We're going to be able to go property to property on the list as fast as you see me going right here. And a lot of these, we're going to be able to tell right off the bat that they're not something we're going to want to invest in. Now, that's not the case here.
Now, that was the house, isn't it? Because I can see that.
Yeah.
That looks...
Yeah, this one looks okay. And so what we're going to be able to do is just drag this little man down here.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me grab him. Drag this little man down here, and when we see this this marker, we know we're on the correct property that's actually going to be at the sale. And that's looked up by parcel number, not address. And that's very important. If you're an experienced tax sale buyer, you know how important that is, because if this lot over here with this dumpy garage on it was listed, it might have the same address again as this house does. And you might accidentally buy that and really lose a lot of money. So in this view, we're actually going to have a pin right on the property that we're buying, and we're going to be able to see it close up. So this one looks okay. In fact, it's in pretty nice shape. It's got a little bit of, it needs a little bit of fascia work right there. But for a minimum bid of $1,800, that's something we're going to want to take another look at. So
I'd take it for $1,800.
Yeah, sure. We're just going to click this Add to Bid List button. It's going to go away and just get out of our hair, and it'll be segregated off to the side as something we might want to bid on. Now, how about this one? Generally, we don't want to be buying small pieces of land with nothing on them, right? Unless this is downtown Chicago or New York or something, these are generally just money wasters. And same way, we're going to be able to just go click Remove on that. We don't even have to look at it because we can see it's not something that we probably want to purchase, because if we have our investing criteria set, we know we don't want to buy small lots like that. Once again, we can go down. We can see this is a very neat looking house here, something we would definitely consider.
That's a nice one.
And yeah, that one's, there's not a problem. Now, of course, at the end, we're going to send somebody by and take a look at all these, or run by them ourselves if it's
Don't
local.
remove it.
I meant to add that one. Okay, now how about this one? This one looks like a house too, but oh look, it's across the street from the other one, I guess. Because look, if I turn around, I bet I'll see the pin over here. Ooh, yuck. What do we got here?
So what is this thing? This looks like a storage garage or something.
Yeah, this looks like a garage, and I see junk laying all over the place, and maybe some kind of modular home behind it. I can just tell you, for me, that's not, and look what's next door. Looks like a burned out house all boarded up with junk all over the yard. You can also see the neighborhood a little bit before you make a decision. You got a old RV sitting there, and we'll think about that when we bid on this one as well. But this is one that I personally would not want to bid on. It really looks like a hassle if we were to get the property back from an investment like this. So I'd remove that, and that's what I would advise others to do. And again, we go on down the list. I'm going a lot slower than I need to so I can illustrate everything. We can go through this list here in no time, and anytime we can't really see much about a property like this one, we'll just put the man down there, and we'll see it's a perfectly neat looking house right here.
Wow, that's a nice one.
Yeah, we have no problem having $4,000 or more into that one. So
You know what I love, Rick? This is like, I feel like I'm in, remember on Star Trek they would have like the teleporter where they would just like dissolve and show up someplace new? This is like that.
That's exactly what it is. It's the Yellow Man teleporter right up at the top.
It's unbelievable because
That's
it's,
what it does for you.
I mean, you think about this, everyone. Like, so we've just casually looked at like 7 properties in the past like 2 minutes. How far can you drive in 2 minutes? Like nowhere. You can basically get about 2 blocks. And to see 7 properties, even if you're going the most efficient route possible, you're going to spend 10 minutes a property at a minimum, absolute minimum, probably more. So,
Right.
if you can see 7 or 8 properties an hour, you're like crushing it. And I mean, using this viewer that's been developed, you can see 7 or 8 properties in a matter of 2 minutes. And like Rick said, he's not even going that fast because he wants to be able to explain everything. That's like, wow.
Right, and Bob, I don't know if you found the same thing, but every tax sale I've invested in has mostly properties we don't want to buy, and fewer of the properties we do want to buy, especially when you get down to the end. And all the quote-unquote good ones have probably been paid off or taken care of, with a few exceptions. So, really, the properties that slip through the cracks are the ones that we want to be there to be able to bid on, and this allows us to get through these lists faster and more accurately than anybody else, have the smallest remaining list of properties to have to drive by or send somebody by to take a look at, and allows us to really be there ready to bid for a lot more sales and just be able to take advantage of a lot more opportunities much easier, much quicker, much less expensively.
What we used to do, Rick, I finally got to the point where my strategy for tax sales became, I worked in this town called Norristown, Pennsylvania, which was sort of a down-and-out town. I would work just that town because that town was down and out, and a lot of people would not catch up with the taxes, and that's where my buying opportunities were. And I missed ones that were really fantastic deals in better towns because I was just like, I can't do due diligence on 3,000 properties, so I'm going to pick the sort of down-and-out town, and I can make something there. But I missed so many great opportunities. It's crazy. And this viewer is such a revolution because it allows you to really check everything on the entire list very quickly and easily. And like you said, you can wait till the last minute. You can wait till a couple days prior to the sale. And for everybody out there, what happens leading up to the sale is that properties drop off the list and the lists are updated. So if you do this, if you use this viewer tool like 2 to 3 days prior to the sale, you can zip through all the properties probably in the evening, and then you can send some people out to do the inspections, or you can do the inspections yourself if you want to, and you'll be ready for the sale like no other bidder. No other bidder can even compete who's not using this technology. And by the way, as Rick said, this is a patent-pending viewer. It's exclusive to us. It's not like every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there has it. Other guys are doing things the old-fashioned way because that's the way they've always done it. This is like having a cell phone versus shouting to someone to go and have to find them to talk to them.
And Bob, aside from just being able to evaluate all the properties on a given list, there's another way that this thing can help you too, and that's because you can cover a lot of smaller county sales that, a lot of times are not attended by very many people. Sometimes nobody shows up to these things, and you're not having to chase down all this information from a county that may not even have their information online or anything like that. It allows you to check all these sales. They may only have 20 or 30 properties for sale on that list, but it's not a list that a lot of people have their hands on. That's what I was going to show next here. So I was actually in southern Indiana doing some unrelated business last week and noticed that there's going to be a tax lien sale in Dubois County, Indiana, and only had 27 properties on the list. So it wasn't one that I would normally drive all the way out to and bid at. But since I was in the neighborhood, I thought, I'm going to actually stop here and I'm going to run through these 27 properties. It just left me a few of them to drive, which was right on my way. And I stopped at the sale. I was bidder number 9. There was only 9 people at the sale, which if you've ever been to a larger, like an Indiana tax sale or any larger tax sale, there can be hundreds of people there. There's only 9, and probably 5 or 6 of them were just tire kickers, never been to a tax sale and just going to see. And indeed, there's only 3 people that actually got properties, 3 different people, myself and a couple other bidders there. And I was able to pick this one up just by looking through that list with this tool right before that morning, and I got a lien on a property that's assessed at $73,000. It has 2.75 acres and a house on it, and I got that for $7,200. So my investment's very well secured, and I'm either going to get that property for maybe a tenth of what it's worth, or I'm going to get some nice interest on that.
So
property.
check this out. You're actually like less than 10% loan to value, essentially. And for everybody who doesn't get this, so what Rick was doing is buying a lien on the property, which means that the people are either going to redeem the lien, which means pay Rick and pay a big fat interest rate to him, or they're not going to redeem it, and Rick's going to own the $73,000 property for $7,200.
Win-win.
You can't lose with something like that, and that's it looks like a really nice property. I can't. Can you zoom in on those houses so we can check out a little more? I see there's some houses across the street. It looks like.
I have this on the PowerPoint, so
you have it in the PowerPoint. Okay.
Up in the viewer, but this was like what it looked like to me on the viewer, and I was able to just run by it real fast to make sure everything was as it looked here. And anyway, the land alone is worth. I'd have no problem buying this lien for $7,200 just with the land. So, the house is bonus.
Wow.
So, yeah, we can do some more live looks at the viewer later, but that's what I had.
You don't have to pull it up. I was actually looking across the street. I see a couple roofs, and they look like a pretty good house. And for everybody's edification, if this was a live viewer instead of a screenshot from the viewer, Rick could actually pull down and take a look at those those houses from street view. He could zoom in on them, and it allows you to get deals you'd never get. I mean, literally, Rick, you have an upside here that could be from 10% interest to all the way to $73,000 payday from this one thing that the viewer allowed you to do in a couple hours that normally you just wouldn't even bother with.
Exactly, and this is something we absolutely could not do until now. We're the only ones with this technology, and other investors can't chase tax sale listings and find them in some obscure newspaper, travel to that county, and make an investment in something like this because their costs are just too great to do all that. And yet we can almost buy these at will, or at a minimum, be prepared to buy them at will and be prepared to bid when the opportunity becomes available. So, what if you could do this at 20 auctions a month? You'd have all that you'd probably want to invest in with a minimum amount of work.
We should call this like the auction steamroller, because you're just going to steamroller over every other investor, because they're not even going to know what you're doing. They'll have no idea that you have this electronic due diligence. They're going to think you have a team of 20 people out there doing all this due diligence.
Just as good as having that, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. So, when we first got the Tax Property Viewer together, we started looking at tax sales. And, Bob, the great thing about this is we're no longer stuck doing this in our county or even our state. I've shown you an Indiana example so far, but really one of the first purchases we made using this was another property that fell through the cracks in Washington State in Kings County. Okay, this one didn't have an address, and they were building up this neighborhood, so the addresses were kind of in flux. Like if you went down the street in Google, the address would all of a sudden jump up 10,000, 5th Street to 20,000, and it just confused everybody, I think, that was looking at the list, and they didn't buy this one. So we got it for the minimum, and bang, we sold it for $85,000 cash. It was really an exclusive neighborhood near Seattle, and we sold it to a builder. So
I'll take that every day. You buy it for $9,000 and sell it for $85,000.
Absolutely.
And we may have talked about this before, Rick, but the post office actually doesn't assign an address until there's a structure where mail gets delivered. So they actually, the best thing you do if you don't have this is gas. And frankly, for everybody out there, the bidders who are doing this manually don't bother, because they literally overwhelmed with number of properties anyway that they've got to drive by. So they just skip these because it's not worth the trouble. And remember that 80% of them are going to pay the lien before the sale, so you're never going to get it anyway. But think about when it only takes you like a minute with a viewer to check it out. Then this whole part of the business becomes viable. And this is the part that I would call the auction sniper, where you're just picking off deals that other people can't even see.
Right, and the reason you can do that is that it runs off the parcel ID number. Every parcel in the whole country has a parcel ID number, but not everyone has an address. And this is an example of one that didn't have an address. It was difficult and confusing to locate by using any kind of like plat map or any of those manual methods. But our parcel viewer just zeroed right in on it, showed us where it was. We saw it was a great neighborhood, and this is the result. So this is what you're going to be able to do on any tax sale list in more than 2,000 counties across the country.
Pretty awesome. Let's cruise forward from this, because I know everybody's probably sitting there thinking, literally salivating over the tax sale viewer and the kind of deals this allows you to get. Let's talk more about what the opportunities are and what the opportunity is to learn directly from you and from us, and to get their own hands on this viewer. Because I'm sure everybody's thrilled that we're making all this money, but frankly, I think they want to know how can they make some money and get their hands on these kinds of deals.
Sure. I'm going to have to make everyone salivate a little more, because I had a few more examples here of what we've been able to do with this, but I'll run through them real quick.
Yeah, this is great.
Another one in Indiana here, and this one again did not have an address. I think it may have said the street name, but it didn't have an address. This was like a bread and butter one, I would call them. We were able to buy this lien for $1,200. It was on 2¼ acres. Sold that for $13,000. Here's one in Georgia, 6 acres, that we got for a little over $2,000. Sold it for $12,000.
You know what I like about all of these? So this one was $2,200, $2,272.89, which then was sold for $12,000. It is a really high yield. I mean, it's basically 5 times your money, almost 6 times your money. But anybody could afford that. It's not so much money that you have to put in $100,000 to buy it and then $30,000 to fix it up, and then sell it 5 months later. Instead, you're into this thing for $2,200, which is one of the aspects of tax sales that I really like. I mean, there are expensive properties, but there are also some very inexpensive properties that are pretty much accessible to anybody. And I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. So you can get involved trying to buy liens, or this is called a redeemable deed in Georgia. But bottom line is you can get involved without having to put in 5-6 figure sums of money. But the nice thing is there's other properties available that you can invest those kind of funds in that will almost certainly pay you off with interest. So you don't have to be a property wheeler dealer to want to get involved in this business. You can invest safely in properties where you can get a lot of your money working for you at a 10 to 20%, even more interest rate. Or if you're like us, you want to make your money spread around to as many properties as you can that you'll have a chance to acquire, and then you can really make the big money like this, 6 times your money, 5 times your money, whatever. And we had one more example like that. We bought a lien on this property and sold it for about 5 times what we paid for the lien once we got the property. So plenty of examples like this throughout the country. Here's another one.
This is $600.
Yeah, this one shows you how little of an investment can pay off. I mean, I don't know, what's this, 10, 20 something times your money?
Yeah, it's like 20. It's more than, it's like maybe even, not quite 30, it's like 25 times the money. And, for everybody out there, so if you had a lot of money to invest, one of the things you can do is you can spread it out over a lot of these deals. and you can really average a very, very high interest rate.
Absolutely. And it's not the worst thing in the world when you're paid off. And some people, that's all they want. And there's ways to invest like that too. Here's a couple that we invested in last spring that paid us off. And we made $800 and some change in 2 months on a $12,000 investment. So our APR for that was 38.6%. And these were secured by real estate. I should say this particular lien was secured by real estate that I think was worth about $100,000. So not only you had 10 times the collateral of what you were putting in, but over the short term you make a huge APR, and then that money's back in your hands again to put into another sale if you like. And imagine if you recycle that 5 or 6 times for the year, you'd really be happy with how you did on that.
It's pretty amazing. And those kinds of things can also be done within self-directed IRAs. If you want to keep your taxes down, you can invest in liens. And I'll tell you, 38%, I have some CDs at the bank and for my IRA where I park money, and they're not paying me 38%. They're not even paying me a tenth of that. And that's the joy of this. So if you're someone that says, I want to retire, but my savings isn't quite where I need it to be to retire, a lot of folks do use these tax sales as ways to get really good returns on their money, maybe enabling them to retire at all or to grow their retirement money very quickly. Other people use it as a way to make your money. I mean, obviously you can do it like we're doing it with actual properties or with these liens. Really very flexible and amazing what you can do with tax sales. And it's really super profitable niche. And one thing that the viewer does that I don't think we talked about too much is that the viewer is going to let you pick out which properties are more likely to pay off their liens if you're really in the game for an interest rate yield. We'll talk more about that at the seminar. We don't have time to go into all that right now, but one of the uses for the viewer is it'll really point you out to the ones that are going to pay off, which is really, really powerful.
Yeah, we've identified several different factors that really will indicate whether something's likely to pay off or whether it's a lot more likely to lead to you acquiring the property. And like Bob said, that's available in the viewer for you to see as you're going through these. So if you're the kind of investor who doesn't want to buy and sell a lot of properties, just wants to get your money working for you at these kind of interest rates here, you can buy the appropriate investments at a sale. And on the other hand, if you're someone that wants to buy and sell properties and really make a large profit on each one, it's a little bit more work to buy and sell the properties, but it's a lot bigger return of profits for you. So you'll know which ones that you want to buy at the sale. Within a certain sale, you'll buy certain ones for either kind of return, and we'll show you how to do all that stuff. So once again, tax sales are an opportunity to really have some amazing results. We routinely buy properties at these tax sales and have less than 20 to 30% of the retail value that invested in them. And then it's up to you what you like to do. We personally just wholesale the properties. Others might want to fix and flip, or what if it's in your local area, you might want to even rent those out and just get yourself a portfolio of free and clear properties in a hurry. So I'm sure everybody here would like to do one of those things, either wholesale, fix up, or rent out. You can do anything you like with these properties once you get them. Even if you're unsuccessful getting a property that you purchased a lien on, you're going to get 5, 10, 20% return on that, even more. And you can really focus on just those if you want to get a cash-on-cash return without having any properties in there. So those benefits can be yours if you learn tax sale investing with the techniques that we've put into place here lately. And the best way to learn is by doing, and that's why we're going to be having this workshop coming up here later this month, and we'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. At this workshop, you're going to learn the tax lien, tax deed business exactly as we run it by watching us do the business with our money. We're going to start at the beginning with the list of the properties. It's going to be uploaded into the tax property viewer. We're going to evaluate those properties together and eliminate probably most of them, and then actually see those properties, probably eliminate some more, establish the maximum amount we're willing to have invested in those. And then at the end, we're actually going to go to the auction. You'll watch us bid using our money like we've been doing. So you'll really be able to see the whole thing from start to finish. Bob, should I just tell them a little bit more about how the workshop's going to work? Or
yeah, please do. And I just wanted to add one thing. The best way to learn is by doing. We've sort of learned this over the past, I would say, 2 years, that we don't really do what you would call a seminar anymore. I mean, it's a word that is part of this, but a seminar is kind of where you sit there and take notes and try to absorb a fire hose worth of information. What we found is that when we're teaching things, like as we've been teaching hooked on overages, the best way that people can learn and actually act on what we're teaching is by having them do the business while they're there with us. And that was the concept for this, that we would get the tax sale list. We'll show you how to do that. And then together, we're going to evaluate the properties using this tax sale viewer that we've been talking about, which is truly revolutionary. And then we're going to actually go see some properties, meaning get in a tour bus and go see them. And then we're going to go to the auction together, and we're going to actually be bidding on properties, meaning Rick and myself will be actually bidding on properties. And then afterwards, we're even going to show you the properties we bid on. So you really go through the whole process, and it'll put you in a position where you're able to go to another tax sale and invest your own money safely and comfortably. And you'll have all these tools, and you'll have learning. We obviously can't take that many people. This is a very limited number of people that can come to this. But the few people that we are able to take are just going to have a life-changing experience, because you're going to get the equivalent of like 20 years worth of experience in a 3-day period. Because I did tax sales for years. Rick's done tax sales for 15 years. And between the two of us, we know a lot. And Rick is really the master doing this right now. And I know all the legal stuff, but what you're going to learn from Rick and the tool you're going to get is absolutely amazing. So that's my 3 cents.
Well, absolutely. So let's tell them a little bit more about how this is going to be laid out. Now, on day one, we're going to go through, I guess we'd call it basic training. Even if you're not too familiar with buying at tax sales, you're going to learn everything you need to know from the ground up. It's going to allow you to earn 10% or more on your investment if you want to earn as a cash return investor, I would call it, and or how to acquire properties at a small fraction of their current value at the tax deed sale, or by buying the correct tax liens that will result in you acquiring a property. And you're going to walk away knowing the best states to work in to accomplish your goals and how you can work there without ever going there. And I'm not sure we touched on that enough. We're not obligated to ever travel to a remote sale, yet we could still invest there quite safely and easily using the tax property viewer and some of the techniques for evaluating those properties when they're out of our area that we're going to cover at the seminar. And if you are an experienced investor, hopefully you'll be willing to learn again from the ground up, because I guarantee you we're going to have some strategies in here that you're not using now or that you haven't had access to now, and it's going to be valuable for you either way.
For the experienced investor, getting their hands on this tax viewer is going to change their entire investment. I mean, what they're going to be able to do, it's like you've just been given a rocket ship when you're working before on a rickety, rusty tricycle.
And again, this is something I doubt you're doing now if you're an experienced investor, using our techniques to get 3 to 5 times more properties from the tax liens that you buy, if that's what your goal is, or getting far fewer properties and being able to invest a lot more money into tax liens safely so that you'll get that high rate of return on your savings. So that's something we're going to cover. I guarantee everybody will benefit from. And of course, having the access to the tax property viewer is
I think that's something worth expanding and to make sure everybody gets that. So you can use the techniques that you're going to be learning to invest for yield, meaning just for interest rate without ever touching a property, or you can use it to acquire properties. And you can acquire them, you can wholesale them off, you can rent them out, or you can do a fix and flip strategy. So it works for both things. And what Rick is going to do with the workshop is really show you how to use the viewer in a way to reach your financial goals. That's really what's going on. And it's a rocket ship, and everybody else is riding along in a rusty tricycle.
Yeah, before you just have to buy whatever you felt like you could buy, and the outcome was really not anything you could control. You didn't know whether it would pay off. You didn't know what would happen. Well, now you have a much greater insight into what's likely to happen on any particular lien that you buy, or any investment that has a chance of paying you off in the future. You're going to know with a lot more certainty which way that's going to go, and you can therefore invest in the right ones to give you your outcome. So that's really what we're going to do on day one. At the end of the day, we'll probably start getting into specifics about Indiana, because that's the actual sale we're going to go to during this workshop, which we'll talk about now. So we're going to show you how to secure your investment with the right real estate so that if you do get the property, you'll still come out ahead, because that's really one of the most important things, is not to buy properties or liens that don't have the right real estate backing them. That's the way that you can lose money, and that's the last thing you want to do. You want to protect your investment. So you'll learn how to do this quickly, how to come up with a value for each property quickly that's conservative, that will keep your investment safe, and that's really the number one name of the game up front, is make sure your investment's safe. And of course, you're going to be able to go through these lists lightning quick using the tax property viewer that we've been talking about and showed you earlier. You know, we use this to prepare for sales all the time, the night before or the day before or a couple of days before, if we're going to send out somebody to take photos for us after. And it saves us an amazing amount of time both driving around and researching properties that are never even going to be offered on the sale because they've been removed. So we can look at these lists later. We can find the investments that are right for us in such less time that we can be at almost every sale that we want to be, and ready there to pick up any properties that are available at a good price. On day 2, this is really going to be something I'm looking forward to. In the morning, we're going to really start shooting through that tax sale list for Henry County, Indiana, which we're going to attend on day 3. So you're going to see that in the space of just a few hours in the morning, we're going to be able to completely cover this list that we expect to have hundreds of liens available on. We're going to be able to cover that whole thing in the morning and end up at our short list of properties that we're going to want to drive around and view. Now again, we're going to show you how you don't have to do this anymore if you want to invest in remote sales, but you need to know what to look for, and there's no better way than to do this in person with us. And you're going to have Bob and I in that bus with you, and we'll be able to point out all these intricate details of things that you need to look for that it's really impossible to teach in the classroom, but that we could easily teach you as we drive and see properties. And we'll show you how to assign quick value to those that keep your investment safe. And we're even going to check out all the properties that we got at the last sale in a nearby county. I think we've got 6 or 7 at least in a nearby county next to this one. We're going to go check those out on day 2 or day 3 as well, and show you what we have in those, and you can see some more examples of what you can expect once you start investing yourself. And then day 3, we're going to actually attend that sale in Henry County. We're going to bid on those liens that we evaluated together. Bob and I are going to use our own company's funds, and you'll get to see exactly how we do that. So you'll be right there with us at the auction. You'll see everything you learned in action, and we're going to bid with our money there. And then we'll even take a look at the auction results and look at some of our competitors' possible mistakes. We'll just have a post-auction wrap-up discussion. And then once you've done all that, you'll really be able to just pick another sale of your own and get going yourself, because you've seen everything from start to finish, and you'll have all the tools that you need that we use that allow you to do that. We're going to be giving you also step-by-step notes of everything that we taught in the classroom and on the tour, and that's going to allow you to immerse yourself in the training, enjoy the training, and not sit there scribbling notes and missing the next technique or details that we're giving out. So you're going to be able to get started quickly and safely in any state, because we're going to show you how to do all the different kinds of sales that you might encounter, and how you can quickly go to a new state. I shouldn't even say go to, but pull up a new state, do that research quickly, completely, and make sure you're ready to invest there using our tax property viewer software, and repeat these same results according to your investment goals. So you're not going to have to worry about scribbling down notes. They're going to be all there for you. Now here are some really awesome bonuses that you're going to get as well that you're going to need, because in order to do things the way we're doing them, you're going to want to have this tax property viewer, and we're going to give you access to any state of your choice for an entire year once you leave the workshop. You're going to be able to get all the tax sale lists for that state. Most of them are going to be uploaded automatically. If we miss one, you'll get priority upload of any list that you want for that state that's not already uploaded. And then you'll be able to use the tax property viewer the same way you did at the workshop for an entire state of your choice. So you can just click on that state, you can see what tax sales are coming up, and you can request that we upload a list there if there's a tax sale you want to attend that isn't showing up on there. So that's a huge thing you're going to walk away with after the workshop, that you're going to be able to use to actually put these techniques into action. Now, this is also a really awesome thing that you're going to get a lot of use out of in your tax sale investing. We've actually set up a custom programmed iPad Mini 2, and I've experimented with different tablets and different mobile devices to use our tax property viewer with, and this is by far the best one. It's large enough to see, but it's light and easy to carry around and manage. This is going to have the entire capability of the tax property viewer for you in a mobile format. This is going to have cell service built in, or it's going to be able to use a Wi-Fi hotspot, however you choose to do it. So it'll work in your car, it'll work when you're commuting to work, it'll work anywhere you are where you want to go through lists and get ahead finding the properties that you want to bid on for a sale.
I've got to just mention this for a second, just a couple of things. I did an experiment for August where I experimented to see if I could successfully work from Europe for the month. And I traveled in Spain, France, Italy, and Switzerland. Had a great time, and I was actually able to successfully work because it's 6 hours ahead there, so I worked from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon until about 10 o'clock at night, something like 7 hours in. And I was able to tour from 9 in the morning until 2 or 3 in the afternoon when it was time to go to work. And this portable viewer navigator, which is really a custom programmed iPad 2 mini, is going to allow you to do things like that. Now, your dream may not be to go travel around Europe and invest. You might want to just go out to national parks out west, or you might want to go visit your kids for an extended time period. You might want to get an RV and go traveling around the country. Whatever you want to do, the point is you really have complete freedom of location. And I can tell you from personal experience that it actually works. My month was very successful, got all my work done, and it was really easy. And this thing will work anywhere. All you have to do is be connected to the web. And this is also exclusively offered with this. This is not something we sell separately. It's only available through coming to this workshop where you're going to learn how to use the software, you're going to learn how to do the tax sales, and you'll get this custom programmed iPad Mini 2, which is not available anywhere else for anybody. And I also want to just add one thing. You might be wondering about the software, like could you go buy it somewhere? It's patent pending software. We have a patent pending application into the U.S. Patent Office now. Nobody else can make the software that we made, and it's not available for sale separately. You can't just go get it separately. And just to give you an idea, like if you say, well, I'll make one on my own. The data cost for this, for the data feed, is $60,000 a year. So it's $5,000 a month that we spend just in data alone. And programming costs on this, for hard costs, we initially spent $25,000, and Rick spent a couple hundred hours on it, and we've had programmers just working on this month after month after month. And I actually don't know at this point exactly what the total is, but I can tell you if you wanted to make something like this privately, just plan on spending $60,000 for data, and for round figures, another $50,000 to $100,000 in programming to get this to work.
Absolutely.
Well, you'd know better than I would, Rick, what it took to put this thing together, because you were the mad genius programmer. So.
Well, yeah, and it not only took the upfront effort to put it together, but once I actually started using it in sales, then I noticed, we really need to do this a different way, because it would work much better if we had it set up like this when you're doing an actual sale. So, I had to put in a bunch of changes like that had to get done, and so it's been a labor of love here for over a year now, and now we finally got it tuned up to where we want it. And aside from being able to work anywhere you want, which is great, the other thing that it does is it allows you or an assistant to take the remaining properties you have on your bid list and create that GPS route for you. And it's accurate. It's not using the addresses. It's using latitude and longitude, which is something that's programmed into all these properties with our viewer. So it'll take you to all these properties in order, which you'll see when we'll be using this when we go on the bus trip. But it's going to take you or somebody that you have taking photos for you for a remote sale. It's going to take you on the most direct route, and that makes a huge difference in how much time it takes to get one of these done. And that remote person or you, there's a button further on down that we don't show on the screen here. Basically activates your camera and lets you take a live picture of the property and post it right here on the record so that you can view it later. So if you've got an assistant out there who's taking photos for you, making sure all these houses are still in the condition that they appeared a few years ago when they were photographed, as soon as they take that photo and upload it, you'll be able to see it here and be able to make your final investment decision. So this is just, again, something that nobody has that you're going to have. This is going to be yours to take home and really take advantage of in all the investing you do.
I also wanted to mention, Rick, you're going to teach people at the workshop how to get other people to do the inspections for them, right? That's one of the...
Yeah, of course. It's really great. Once you have your short list here, I'm going to show you how to just make a link that you can send to anybody. And when they click on that link, they'll have their route. You know, they don't have to try to mess around with anything. They just click this link, and the route is all ready for them to go. If they have their own phone or whatever, they can just get going and take those pictures for you. Makes it real easy.
And you're actually sorting everything into the most efficient route to go around, I assume, when it's...
Yeah, it takes the whole list and just it asks where you want to start and where you want to end up, and then using that, it plots your best route. And wow, what a difference.
I remember I used to get frustrated sometimes. I'd be driving around and I'd realize that I'd forgotten one. I'd be like, oh no, gotta go drive 35 minutes back.
Yeah. Exactly. And sometimes it comes up with some pretty crazy routes where you'd never realize that's the way you should go. And if you looked at it the way you were, you might try to do it off the cuff, you would have wasted hours. So really intelligent.
This thing is just a work of genius. And for everyone, I'm sure you can see this. Can you imagine the power that you have in your hands with that little tiny iPad 2, because it's got this data behind it that's going to help you scan through the properties really quickly, because the lists are big typically, and it separates the wheat from the chaff very easily. And then it actually makes it so you have a few left that you can go drive around, or you can send someone else to drive them, and you can actually double check everything. And you can do in a matter of a couple of days what other investors can't even do in 45 days, not unless they had a huge team that they're paying a salary to.
Yeah, exactly. And Bob, sometimes even there's cellular service or Wi-Fi at a sale, and it's kind of neat. You can follow along with the sale as it goes through and see what everybody else is bidding on and kind of learn more about the area. So there's a lot of different uses for it, and it's really something I couldn't live without now.
No, you'd be back to a rusty tricycle. And when you've been driving a rocket ship, you don't want to drive a rusty tricycle.
No, you certainly don't. So we know you're probably going to want to invest in another state as well. There's going to be plenty of sales in Indiana left where you can leave your return flight open, or you can come back by the end of October. You can invest in Indiana. But you may want to pick another state to invest at that we're going to cover where you're going to want to look to invest depending on your goals. We're going to show you how to evaluate that state to make sure you're making the right investment decisions. And so you can check in with us and get a consultation after the workshop of another state of your choice that you've looked into. We'll review your findings using our checklists that come in the training. We'll make sure you've got the right outlook for that state, the right plan, and maybe tune that up for you a little bit. That's something you're going to get as well after the workshop, because we know you probably want to invest in at least one other state, and so you can keep your money working for you all year round. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics here. We're going to do this really soon on September 22nd to the 24th, and we're going to do it right here in Indiana. Now, I picked Indiana for the workshop not because I live here, but because the tax sale system here is going to allow every investor to buy liens that will meet their own objectives, right? If you want the ability to get cheap properties through buying liens, I'll show you how to buy the right ones to maximize those chances. And if you're looking to kickstart your savings plan, start catching up from that huge dip in returns we've had in the banks and CDs, if you really want to turn that around, I'll show you how you can get as much of your money as you like working safely for you again at 6, 10, even you saw a 38% return that we've gotten on our liens that we've purchased. The other good thing is some changes in the tax sale rules here have driven out a lot of the banks that used to bid on these sales, and that's really opened them up for us. So it's really the perfect place for us to have this workshop. Again, Indiana's having sales almost every weekday from the time of the workshop all the way through October. So, once you're up to speed, this would be a good chance if you wanted to come back, put your knowledge to use and your savings to use to earn better returns, or start setting yourself up to make some big profits on properties. But here's the thing. I want everybody that we work with, because like Bob told you, we can't work with that many people. We really want to work personally with you. I want everybody to have the ability and the right attitude and just be a right fit for us. And I want to make sure this is something that you're going to put into use for yourself, not just attend this workshop, have a good time, and never do anything with it. And I know there's going to be hundreds of people watching this video who want to get involved with this, but we really want to put together a very tight group, and we decided 20 is the absolute most that we're going to be able to take in and be able to give you all the knowledge, all the techniques, and the personal attention you're going to need to make this work for you. So we just want to make sure we have that right group of only 20 people. We're all going to be able to go together to the sale, on the bus, all those kind of things. If we had any more than that, we just wouldn't be able to have this workshop the way that we envision it. So therefore, it's for serious investors only. If you're a tire kicker, if you're not ready to really put your savings to use or make some big property profits, this might not be for you. But if you want to get 10% or more interest on your money and start learning how to pick up properties for 20 to 30% of the current market value, this is probably for you. It's something that you're going to know how to do after the workshop's over. So the investment to attend this workshop is $5,800. We've already talked about the tax property viewer that you're going to get that costs us 6 figures a year to develop and maintain. That's something you're going to get along with your investment to this workshop. In addition to that, you're going to get all these techniques that are not well known out there that we've developed to allow us to get these kind of returns and allow us to get these kind of profits on the properties that we buy. So you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it that way, or you can also look at it as a whole lot less expensive than trying this on your own and making that inevitable bad investment or two while you're learning. And it's really easy to lose $5,800 if you go into this blind and you just start buying at sales and hoping for the best. So the tools you're going to get at this workshop and the training and everything else is going to really allow you to prevent any kind of loss like that too. So I hate to look at it that way, but what a deal when you look at it either way. And the only thing you're responsible for is just to get down to Muncie, Indiana on the 22nd of September, and you'll be responsible to get your own accommodations and meals. We'll take care of the transportation to the sale and everything else that we talked about.
I want to just mention one thing, Rick. So when I started investing, I made my first investment in 1989, but I actually learned from a gentleman. His name is Bill Becker. This guy was working in Philadelphia. He was doing tax sales and basically had kind of an event similar to this. It was like a workshop, except it was a little longer. It was stretched out over a couple of months. But we did the same things that you and I are going to be teaching at this event. We actually went to the sales together, and he explained everything, explained the strategies. And I spent, back in 1989, $7,500 for that. And in 1989, $7,500 was a lot more money than it is today, just because of inflation. So it's probably the equivalent of $12,000 or $13,000. And it was the best investment I ever made. It launched my whole investing career. I bought my first property at tax sale. I bought it for $3,000 and sold it for $9,800. So I made the whole cost of my workshop in one investment. It launched me in my lifetime career in real estate, which is pretty phenomenal. And we certainly didn't get anything like the tax sale viewer because it didn't exist back then.
Sure.
Nothing even remotely like it existed. The other thing I wanted to mention, I was speaking with someone from Goldman Sachs a couple of years ago, and Goldman Sachs, as much as everybody likes to sort of make fun of them, say, oh, Goldman Sachs, those people are wicked smart, crazy wicked smart. And I was talking to one of them about investing, and they do some real estate investing, and I said, so what do you guys look for? And they said, well, number one, we want return of our investment. He said,
right,
regardless of return on investment, someone says you're going to make 20%, 30%, whatever. He said, we want to make sure with 100% certainty we're going to get our initial investment back. And then we look for yield. Like, then what will we get on top of that? So what they do is when they're getting into a new kind of investment, they spend a lot of time, money, and effort on learning, on due diligence, and learning from the best of the best. Because they get into all kinds of investment strategies, and they go and they learn from other people that actually know that subject area. And they buy all the tools that they can buy, and then they invest. So the smart people who are listening to this presentation get that. And if you don't get that, then just understand it, whether you participate in this event or not. You always want to learn first, and you always want to avoid losing your money. And that's before you're talking about making any investment. It's not about just going out there and throwing money at the wall, because we all know what happens when you do that. You just lose your money. This workshop, as Rick envisioned it, and as when I brought in and envisioned it together with him, it's really something where you're going to learn by doing. You're going to be put in a position to actually go make good investments. You're going to have this amazing tool that literally costs us, like Rick said, 6 figures a year by the time we're done maintaining it and just feeding it data. and you're going to get to use it for a full year in any state of your choice. So don't crush it out there. You're going to make a ton of money with this thing. And I can't imagine, Rick, if we get the people that we really want, which are serious investors that really want to do something, they'll make many multiples of that $5,800.
Well, that's true. I mean, on just about any property that we acquire, it's easy to recoup that kind of investment on the first one. And, you'll be able to do quite a few of them each year for sure. And, and what's it worth to you to be able to have an way above market rate investment if you have retirement funds that aren't going to last you as long as you thought they were going to, right? I mean, those returns are going to last you a lifetime, or in the coming years of everyone else is stuck at 1% and you're able to get 7, 10, 20%. It might keep a lot of people from having to go back to work or having to, really scale back their lifestyle, whatever. So either way, you're going to recoup that investment so many times over and avoid losing investment because, again, security of your investment is the number one thing. I have to agree with Goldman Sachs on that for sure. You can't make anything if you're not at least protecting what you've put in. So we're going to really stress that throughout the entire workshop. So participation in this is going to be by application only, and you can fill one out at taxinvestingpro.com. That's taxinvestingpro.com. It's a short application that's going to tell us a little bit about you. We want to make sure that we have the right kind of people at the sale who are going to actually be able to benefit from this and, really be part of the group conversation we're going to be having at the workshop. And so you'll just pick an appointment time, we'll have somebody get with you, and we'll extend you an invitation if we think it's a good fit. But we don't want anybody at the seminar who we can't benefit with this and who can't benefit from this. And we really do want the right people at the seminar who can really take advantage of this and change how they're investing now. So taxinvestingpro.com is where you can put in your application, and again, we'll have somebody get with you real quick. I know we have hundreds of people watching this, as I said earlier, and once we find 20 people that are a good fit for this, that's where we're going to cut it off. We're going to start getting ready for the workshop, and we're going to just basically cut off enrollment. So
yeah, it's first come, first serve is what, just like the short version of that. It's first come, first serve because that's the fairest thing to do, and we're actually going to process like the invitations to sit down with a representative from our office on a first come, first serve basis. So the first person to fill in the very short application at taxinvestingpro.com, they're going to get the first opportunity to pick the time when they want to have a 15-minute conversation. In that 15-minute conversation, you're going to get a chance to ask any questions that you have, and we're going to get to know you. And like Rick said, we want a good group of people who are serious investors, people who are serious about making something out of this. We're not looking for tire kickers or dreamers or schemers. We're looking for real people that really want to do something. Now, you could be a real person that wants to get yield. We just want an interest rate. You never want to touch a property. We can teach you that strategy. Then you can benefit from it. You could be someone that says, I need a better way to acquire fix and flip properties. Like I can buy them at better pricing. Tax sales are a great way to do that. And especially with this viewer software, can actually let you get the volume that you need in that business to really make a good business out of it. So we're really looking for people who really can benefit from this and who are serious and are just decent folks. It's a very small investing group. Rick and I will both be there. That's a ratio of no more than 10 to 1, which is pretty amazing. And it's it's a 3-day event. So we want to work with people that are fun to work with. That's all, that are serious and that we can have a great time together. And one thing I was just thinking, Rick, people may be wondering, well, why can't we bid at the sale? And just as legal counsel of the company, I had to raise my hand and say, we cannot collude as a group on bidding. Like we can't say, all right, Tom is going to take those 4 properties, Bob will take these 3 properties, Rick's going to take those 4, Sandy's going to take the other ones. That's called bid rigging. It's a federal crime. So I don't want to wear any striped shirts anytime soon, and I'm sure nobody else here does. So we're going to teach you how to do it, but we're not doing any bid rigging or colluding. And we figured this is about learning for a lifetime. This is not about like one sale. This is about putting you in a position. It's like that proverbial, we can either give you a fish, like here, come at the sale and buy a couple liens, or we can teach you how to fish so that you can have a lifetime of acquiring liens, acquiring properties, and a lifetime of profits. And certainly the lifetime of profits is a better deal. So that's the position we're putting you in. And that's why no bidding at that sale. But like Rick said, they're basically tax lien sales and tax deed sales through all the way through to October 31st in Indiana. So even if you want to just book yourself in to stay a couple extra days, you could get ready for the sale on Friday. This event is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You could get ready for the sale on Friday. You could spend the weekend and get ready for sales and literally hit sales the following week all throughout Indiana because the tax lien viewer is going to allow you to do that.
Something I would definitely consider, Bob. I mean, the following days after that are really going to be full of good sales. We can give you some pointers on which one of those to look at for sure, and or come back anytime prior to the end of the sales season on October 31st. But again, you're not limited to Indiana. It'll just be a way for you to repeat exactly what you've just seen, though, and might be something you want to think about doing for sure.
It's a great way to sear in the knowledge, when you actually take it and apply it. Even if you just went with $5,000 to auctions or $3,000 just to go through the exercise and buy a couple of small ones, you could do that. And that's really going to bake in the knowledge.
Absolutely. So, again, get your application in at taxinvestingpro.com. That'll allow us to get the wheels turning with you, and it'll secure your spot as one of the 20 people if you do it soon. I think you'd be kicking yourself if you decided to get involved in a week or two and we have to give you the bad news that we've taken all 20 people that we can handle for this event. So get over there, taxinvestingpro.com. And again, we're going to be holding this in Muncie, Indiana. It's an easy 1-hour ride from the Indianapolis airport, so it's not going to be difficult for anybody to get there. And we'll handle all the transportation from there to the sale, to investigate the properties, to see the properties we got last year as well, all that stuff. So.
By the way, I want to make clear to everybody, we do have a hotel picked out that has hotel rooms available and all. We've made it a practice not to give out the hotel information until we only give it out to the people that actually are registered. We had the bad experience of people showing up at our sold-out events and just basically trying to push their way in, and it was very uncomfortable. It wasn't what we wanted to do, and so you'll get all that information when you're extended an invitation. We have a reasonably priced hotel. You're free to stay anywhere, but you don't have to search around for a place.
Thanks for bringing that up, Bob. I think I would have left that out.
Yeah, so I was just sitting here listening to it. I'm realizing people might be like, well, where am I going to stay? And we have all that lined up. It's just we had this just very uncomfortable experience of people showing up to sold-out events. And it's like one guy, Rick, you weren't at this event. This guy drove from Florida to Pennsylvania, literally drove. The event was sold out. And he brought his
ticket to the door, huh?
He just wanted to shove his way in, and he brought his business partner.
Oh my God!
You have to be kidding. And they're like, well, we thought maybe someone else wouldn't show up and we could have their seat.
Oh.
And it's like, it's an awful position to be put in. So rather than do that, we want everything to go smoothly. I also wanted to mention there is no application fee or anything like that. Just fill in the very short, simple application. There's no fee or cost to do that. We're really just looking for 20 great people to work with who are serious, who could benefit from this, and that Rick and I can enjoy having a great learning experience with and have fun with.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Bob.
So anything else we need to cover? Or are we good?
No, just get over to taxinvestingpro.com, do that application, and it's coming up here in, a few weeks. So I'm really looking forward to this, Bob. It's the first time we've actually shared this much of a start to finish of our entire business process with a few people, and it's really going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to co-teaching the event with you. By the way, everybody, Rick is going to be the main guy here. I'll be there for support. I know my legal stuff. I've done a lot of tax lien investing. But Rick is the star because he is the guy that, like I said, I trust him to the extent that he takes our company money and goes and invests it. I don't know what stronger endorsement I could give than that. And nothing I could say could outweigh the behavior of actually just saying, here, take our company money and go buy stuff.
Well, I appreciate that, Bob. And yeah, you're going to definitely see how to secure all the money you invest at the workshop. And again, that's number one. So I'm definitely a conservative investor, but look at the results that we still get nevertheless. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in Muncie, Indiana. Head over to taxinvestingpro.com. Let us know a little bit about yourself. And, hopefully we'll be seeing you in Muncie.
Yep, and first come, first serve. So thank you for attending. Hopefully you learned some interesting things. And you've seen the future of tax lien investing, which is this amazing property viewer, which is just, it's a killer tool for this. And you'll be able to snipe off properties and just grab them when other people don't even know there's a deal. And you'll be able to steamroller other investors who just will have no idea what even happened because they won't even know how you did it. So looking forward to sharing that and getting 20 lucky people the ability to use that for the year. and 20 people hopefully will teach you things that will help you have a lifetime of wealth, a lifetime of income, and really an unlimited financial future. That's all I've got, Rick. So.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, Bob, and I'm really looking forward to working with 20 of our subscribers here in Muncie coming up in just a few weeks.
So see everybody in a couple of weeks, and go to taxinvestingpro.com. Go fill in an application. Like I said, it's first come, first serve. It doesn't have any way of telling you, like we don't have it programmed, so 19 slots taken. It's literally just fill in your application. You'll get the invitation to select your time to have a conversation in the order by which people apply. I'm sure there are already people there now filling them in. So get in there so that you don't lock out, because it is 20 people, and you'll know that when you're one of the people that make it in, because there won't be more than 19 other people there with you. So it's a pretty cool opportunity. So we are locked into 20. Can't do 22. It's 20. That's it. So
exactly. All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining me on this call, Bob, and it's going to be great seeing you in Muncie.
Yep, you too, and thanks for inventing this and for presenting it, and for everybody, thanks for being our customers, our friends, our subscribers. We appreciate you, and for all of us at Deed Grabber and Diamond Law Center, we really appreciate you and are happy to serve you every day and help you grow in your wealth and your ability to get returns in your investment and do something with your life. So thanks, and I'll see you in Muncie.
See you soon, everybody.